Okay, so good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is preparing well for your ordinary level examinations. That's going to be held in less than a week from now. So this is your LivePhysics A-level supportive program, and I'm Kavit Fernando. Today, I'll be discussing with you the Biology 1 question tute that was given to you guys. So in this, we aim to give you short notes, sort of breakdown on the question topics, so that you'll get a broad idea regarding the question, covering other parts as well, and also add a slight A-level touch to this, so it will be interesting for everyone. Okay, so first question. A diagram of a muscle tissue is given below. So I hope everyone has the tute with themselves, which was sent to your WhatsApp groups. Okay, first question. A diagram of a muscle tissue is given below. Select the option which gives correctly the name of this muscle tissue and its function. So we know there are 3 types of muscle tissues, right? What are those 3 types? Smooth muscle tissues, skeletal muscle tissues, and cardiac muscle tissues. So we can break these down into small diagrams. So smooth muscle tissues are what? Spindle shaped, unicellular, with a single nuclei, cells like this. And skeletal muscles are what? Long, cylindrical cells. But the unique thing about skeletal muscle cells is that each cell has more than 1 nuclei. And these skeletal muscle cells also have striations. So cardiac muscle cells, the most unique thing about cardiac muscle cells is they are branched, right? Like branch cells. So, but they only have 1 nuclei per cell. And cardiac muscle cells also have striations with them. So this is a small breakdown on the 3 types of muscle tissues. So now the question is asking, what's the tissue type shown in the diagram? So you can clearly see it's a branch cells as shown like this, and that's a cardiac muscle cell. And about their function, we know that smooth muscle cells are involuntary. Cardiac muscle cells are also involuntary. And skeletal muscle cells are voluntary, right? So this is a quite easy way to break down the 3 types of muscle tissues for your examination. So we'll go to the next question. Next question. The animal tissue given in the diagram is. So there are 4 types of animal tissues, right? So what are those animal tissues? Epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscle tissues, and nervous tissue. So if you break down your topics into sort of small flowcharts like this, it will be very easier for you guys to study this and cram this up for this short time period, sort of like a crash course program. So epithelial tissues also you can divide. So you can expand these charts. So we talked about muscle tissues, and you can expand this like this. So the one given in the diagram is simply a epithelial tissue. You will have, in epithelial tissue, you will have a basement like this, and on that cells will be placed. So depending on how the cells are arranged in this basement, we will have different types of epithelial tissues. Okay, next question. Consider the following features. Of the above features, features of parenchyma tissues are. So what's parenchyma tissue? Parenchyma tissue is a simple permanent tissue found in plant cells. So now we had a small discussion about animal tissues. So like that we can do for plant tissues as well. So plant tissues you divide into two main parts. Meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. So meristematic tissues have what? Apical meristems and so on. In A levels you will learn in more deep about how meristematic tissues actually work. So permanent tissues you can again divide into simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. So simple permanent tissue means, so permanent tissues are the tissues that will remain permanently in the plant body. Meristematic tissues will gradually develop with time, but permanent tissues will remain permanently in the plant. So again that you divide into simple permanent and complex permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissues only have one cell type with them. Each tissue will only have one cell type. However, complex permanent tissue will have a collection of different cell types. So simple permanent tissue also has three types, right? Parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. And complex permanent tissues we can divide into xylem tissue and phloem tissue, right? So they are asking about parenchyma, right? So now these two are very complex. They will have different types of tissues with them, but we can draw small diagrams for these three types of tissues because each of them consists only one type of cells. So parenchyma you can easily draw. They are large cells with a large central vacuole, a nucleus, and they have what? The key feature is they have intercellular spaces. So between cells they will have space in them. We call them intercellular spaces. Right. Okay, so we'll see. Nucleus is present peripherally in the cytoplasm, having spherical cell with large central vacuole. So that's correct. B statement says spherical cells with, so roughly spherical cells with large central vacuole. That B statement is correct. A statement says nucleus is present in the periphery in the cytoplasm. So because the central vacuole is very huge, the nucleus of the cell will be located towards the periphery, right? That's a key feature of parenchyma cells. And C statement says no intercellular spaces. No, parenchyma cells has intercellular spaces in them. So only A and B statements are correct. A is correct, B is correct, C is wrong. So like that you can draw for collenchyma as well. So collenchyma are roughly hexagonal shaped cells. But what's the unique feature about collenchyma cells? They will have thickened cell wall corners, right? Because their cell walls will have a substance deposited in them, and their cell wall corners will be thickened due to that. So that's a unique feature of identifying collenchyma cells. And sclerenchyma is the only type of simple permanent tissue that is dead when living, because in A levels you will learn a substance called lignin will get deposited in them. Due to excessive levels of lignin getting deposited, those cells will die when they become mature, right? So we'll go to the next question. So next question also you can discuss based on this. Of the following plant tissues, which is a complex permanent tissue? Parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma and xylem. So from this chart you can tell complex permanent tissue, xylem and phloem. Okay, right. So xylem is the answer. So which of the following is not a characteristic of smooth muscle tissue? which of the following is not a characteristic of smooth muscle tissue? So smooth muscle tissue we'll do earlier, right? Smooth muscle tissues are what? Spindle shaped cells. These are smooth muscle tissue. So smooth muscle tissues are easily identified by their spindle shape. So we'll see. Which of the following is not a characteristic? Cells being uninucleate. Yes, smooth muscle tissues have only one nucleus in each cell. Having cross striations? No. Striations are found only in skeletal muscle tissues and cardiac muscle tissues. Smooth muscle tissues does not have striations in them. Cells are spindle shaped. Now I told earlier also, this shape you call spindle shape. And acting involuntarily. Yes, I explained earlier. Both smooth muscle tissues and cardiac muscle tissues act involuntarily. So I myself got 8 A's and 1 B for my O levels. So what I would suggest during this small period you have left for examinations, try to make short, like blurting. You call this technique blurting when you write everything that comes to your mind when you are doing a paper or when you are studying. This way you can grasp everything that you remember, and if you can't remember something, you can refer to your book and add that. And once your session is done, you can throw this paper away. Again, when you're doing a new one, you can do the same thing again. That way you will store a lot of points in your mind, but most of them will be explained in diagrams, charts, or illustrations. Okay, next you can go to the next question. So photosynthesis, question number 6. Which of the following statement is false regarding photosynthesis? I'll erase the board. So what's photosynthesis? We know that we need food to live. So those food is produced mainly from plants. So what do plants do to produce that energy and food that humans consume? So plants will absorb the sunlight energy, and they will absorb atmospheric air, and they will also absorb water from soil, and using these raw resources they will produce fruits or whatever, and that will store energy in them. So they will convert the basic process of photosynthesis, converting solar energy or light energy into chemical energy, and this chemical energy will be stored in organic molecules such as carbohydrates, proteins, and whatever carbohydrate, proteins, lipids, and all. So that's the basic idea of photosynthesis. So this process is in detail explained in A-levels. It's a very exciting and interesting process to learn in A-level biology. Okay, photosynthesis can be done artificially. No. To this day, scientists have failed at mimicking the entire process of photosynthesis in an artificial way. It's a very complex biochemical reactions taking place inside plant cells, which we cannot replicate artificially to this day. Solar energy is converted to chemical energy during photosynthesis. So I explained here. Solar energy is converted to chemical energy during photosynthesis. O2 gas is produced as a byproduct. Yes. So now you don't know how it is produced, but in this process, while producing chemical energy as a byproduct, they will produce O2 gas, which we humans and all other living organisms use for their respiration. Glucose produced during photosynthesis temporarily stored in plant leaves as starch. Yes, this chemical energy is first produced as glucose, and this glucose will later be converted to other products. But temporary storage will first take place. Temporary storage will first take place in plant leaves as starch, right? Okay. So 7th question. Consider the following equation. So this is the equation, and they're asking select the option that gives appropriate examples for A and B in the above equation. So this is A, this is B. So this is not related to photosynthesis, but we'll still attempt this question. So this chemical formula C6H12O6, what is it? We commonly know it as glucose. So any monosaccharide will have this formula, not only glucose. What are the other monosaccharides? Galactose and fructose, right? So they will also have this chemical formula as C6H12O6. So we know that two monosaccharides can join together and release a water molecule and make a disaccharide. So what are the disaccharide examples you have? Lactose, maltose and sucrose. So this is a common example for the equation where two monosaccharides join together to make a disaccharide. So A has to be a monosaccharide and B has to be a disaccharide. So the only answer is the first one. Cellulose, starch, glycogen are all polysaccharides. Okay. A plant leaf with colors white and green are attached to the plant was set out as follows and kept in an open place. After 2 days, leaf was detached from the plant to test for tested for starch. After the test, in which of the following ways would the leaf appear? So we know that photosynthesis mainly happens in green, not mainly. Photosynthesis in plants happen almost all the time in green plants. Only plants with green leaves will do photosynthesis mainly in plants. There are other species also. Certain algae that are not green can also carry out photosynthesis. You will learn more about this in A-levels. So we know that if a plant leaf is there and only a certain part of it is green, I'm coloring this part as this is green and this part is white, only the area where green tissue is there, photosynthesis can take place. So anyways, in this leaf, if only the middle part is green color, so photosynthesis will take place only in this part. But now you are also covering it with a black color sheet. Now what happens when you cover it with a black color sheet? Now then sunlight cannot hit this plant surface, right? The black color sheet will prevent sunlight from reaching the plant cells. When this happens, plant cells cannot absorb the solar energy and that area will not be able to carry out photosynthesis. So when you and what's the next thing? The end product, we know that photosynthesis is stored as starch in the leaves. So when you test for starch, how do you test for starch? You add iodine to this, and iodine will give iodine is brown color normally, and it will give a blue-black color when it reacts with starch. So in this leaf, only this part and this part will produce starch because only this part and this part can carry out photosynthesis. So at the end of the experiment, you will have a leaf when tested for starch, something like this. Why? The outside is white color, so it anyways cannot carry out photosynthesis. And in the in the middle, you place the black color strip, so that part also can't carry out photosynthesis. So this is your answer. Okay. Consider the following statements on various processes taking place in a plant. Of the above statements, the true statements are: plants emit carbon dioxide only during the night. No. So this emitting carbon dioxide is more significant at night, but it's not only happening during the night. In daytime also plants respire and they can release carbon dioxide. Same way, plants emit only oxygen during the night? No. They emit carbon dioxide as well. The question is telling plant emit only oxygen. No. The first statement is telling plant emit carbon dioxide only during the night. So they are telling that only during the night. That's wrong. Carbon dioxide is emitted in the daytime as well. Second statement, they are saying plants emit only oxygen during the daytime. No, they emit oxygen as well as carbon dioxide during the daytime, because plants, like other living beings, have to carry out respiration, right? So in respiration, they will absorb oxygen and release carbon dioxide, right? Gaseous exchange in plant leaves mainly occur through stomata. Yes, in plant leaves, there are stomata. Stomata are specialized leaf cells in the epidermis of leaves. So we know that it's surrounded by, stomata are pores surrounded by specialized cells. You call them guard cells, and these cells are bean-shaped. Guard cells, and the pore in between them you call stomata. So these structures are found in the epidermis of plant leaf, and they will act as a pathway for gases to enter and exit from the plant. Okay, so C statement is correct. So we'll see. A statement is false. B statement is also false. C statement is correct. Gases entering the plants diffuse into the cells through intercellular spaces. Yes. So from stomata, so if we do a vertical cross section, these are epidermal cells of a plant leaf. You cut a plant leaf vertically. Okay. So these are guard cells. And then you will have plant cells like this. So from the stomata, these gases will diffuse into what we call, in levels you will learn more clearly, you call this substomatal cavity. So they are basically empty spaces found near stomata in plant leaves. So from that, these gases will then diffuse through intercellular spaces to these cells. So that's the process where how gases will diffuse into plant cells. They will diffuse through intercellular spaces. Okay. 10th question, and there's a practical, right? So you know, in your syllabus, there are practicals that test for different factors needed to carry out photosynthesis. So like what? CO2, light and water, those factors are tested whether they are needed to carry out photosynthesis. So this practical is used to carry out to check if we need CO2 for photosynthesis. So what do? 2 plant leaves you take, and you cover them with polythene bags. So why do you cover with polythene bags? Polythene bags are transparent, so sunlight can still come and strike the plant leaf. And in one polythene bag, you put KOH or sodium. KOH is potassium hydroxide. You can also put sodium hydroxide. And in one you put water. And now you leave this, and you can test for starch. If you test for starch, it's clear. If test for starch is positive in any of these leaves, that means that leaf has carried out photosynthesis. So what will happen? So the carbon dioxide inside this polythene bag with potassium hydroxide will absorb that carbon dioxide and not let the plant cells absorb it. Why? Carbon dioxide is an acidic gas. Potassium hydroxide is basic. So it's a strong base. So even if carbon dioxide is slightly acidic, they will react and absorb the carbon dioxide. And in that way, this plant leaf will not have carbon dioxide. But here, water can't do anything like that. So this leaf will have sufficient carbon dioxide with it, right? Yeah. So that means one main factor needed for photosynthesis is carbon dioxide. So this leaf lacks it, so it cannot carry out photosynthesis. But this leaf can carry out photosynthesis. So from the practical, it will be clear for you that carbon dioxide is a necessary factor for photosynthesis. The need of which factor for photosynthesis is expected to be tested by this setup. Now I explained to you, we test for carbon dioxide, right? What is the substance labeled as X in the above figure? So yes, I explained to you, this is water, because water can in any way cannot absorb the carbon dioxide. That way we can carry out a control experiment to see what would be the result if carbon dioxide is not absorbed. Okay, so next question number 12 is not related to this topic, so we'll skip that. Question number 13. An organism has the following features. To which kingdom does the above organism belong? Consisting of eukaryotic cells. So when you say eukaryotic, it can't be kingdom bacteria or kingdom archaea, right? Both of those kingdoms have organisms that are prokaryotic. Has the ability to decompose organic matter. Okay, but that will not give us a huge hint. But the C statement, presence of chitin in their cell wall. This feature is only seen in organisms in one kingdom. What's that? Kingdom fungi. We also learned that chitin is present in arthropods but not in their cell walls. Arthropods are animals. Those animals don't have cell walls. But in arthropods, chitin is found in the exoskeleton, not in their cell walls. So don't confuse them. Okay. So presence of chitin in cell wall is a unique feature to organisms of kingdom fungi. So the answer for this is second answer, kingdom fungi. Okay, question number 14. Some features observed when an animal was examined are as follows. Has 4 pentadactyl limbs, has glandular skin, broad mouth, and cold-blooded. This animal could be. So the answers given are otter, crocodile, tortoise, and toad. So all of these animals are what? Vertebrates. So we'll discuss a little bit about vertebrates. Okay, so question number 14. Some features observed when an animal was examined are as follows. Has 4 pentadactyl limbs, has glandular skin, has a broad mouth, and cold-blooded. So they are asking this animal could be. So they have given otter, crocodile, tortoise, and toad. So all 4 of these animals are what? Vertebrates or invertebrates, right? So in animals, we can mainly divide animals into two main categories, right? Invertebrates and vertebrates, right? So what are invertebrates? Animals that don't have a spinal cord. Vertebrates are the animals that have spinal cords. So these invertebrates you can again divide into groups, and vertebrates also you can divide into groups. So what are those groups? Pisces means fish, amphibia, amphibians, reptilia for reptiles, aves for birds, and the group we belong, mammalia. So mammalia means mammals. So instead of going for one by one, we will start from the most easy way to distinguish these animals, cold-blooded and warm-blooded. So cold-blooded means in those animals, when external temperature of the environment changes, their temperature will also change. So they are very prone to environmental temperature changes. They are very vulnerable. But with evolution, organisms have developed to, as a countermeasure for this, being warm-blooded. What is warm-blooded? Even if external temperature changes, these organisms' internal body temperature will still remain constant and maintain their body conditions in normal values. So they have more survivability chance. So Pisces, amphibia, and reptilia, all 3 of them are cold-blooded. Aves and mammalia are warm-blooded. Right. So from that we can remove. Okay. So from there we can only remove otter. Otter belongs to mammalia. So all other 3 will remain here. So crocodile and tortoise belong to reptilia. Toad belongs to amphibia. And now instead of, so pentadactyl limbs common to both groups. Broad mouth also common to both. Crocodiles have very huge. But glandular skin is a feature found in amphibia. Those organisms have glands in their skins. Reptiles are adapted to more are more adapted to the external terrestrial environment, so they lack glands in their skins. So this glandular skin is a characteristic of amphibia. So that way we can finally target out the organism as toad. Okay, question number 15. Warm-blooded animal and cold-blooded animal respectively. So now I explained to you, right? Pisces, amphibia and reptilia are cold-blooded. Aves and mammalia are warm-blooded. So we'll see. So they are asking respectively warm-blooded and cold-blooded. So pigeon and frog. So pigeon belongs to aves, frog belongs to amphibia. So warm-blooded, cold-blooded. That answer is correct. Bear and rat. No, both of them are mammals. Both of them are warm-blooded. Rat snake and whale. Rat snake belongs to reptilia, cold-blooded. Whale belongs to mammalia, warm-blooded. That option also has animals belonging to two blood groups, but not respectively. They are oppositely switched. Right. Crocodile and tortoise. Both of them belong to reptilia. Those organisms are cold-blooded. So the answer is pigeon and frog. I'll tell again. Pigeon belongs to aves, warm-blooded. Frog belongs to reptilia, cold-blooded. Okay. The kingdoms to which only heterotrophs belong. So organisms, nutrition. So what's nutrition? In A-level you will have a lot of definitions for this term nutrition, but to explain it in simple terms for you, nutrition is the process by which every living organism will obtain raw materials or energy from the environment in different ways and utilize that for their bodily functions. So we have nutrition at two main parts, right? Nutrition. Two main parts are what? Autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition. So autotrophic nutrition is what? When those organisms obtain raw materials and resources found in the energy that are not organic. Using inorganic energy sources, they will consume it and use for their own energy. Convert it to their own energy. That's autotrophic. Heterotrophic is what? The energy found in organic sources, these organisms will consume themselves and use for their own body needs. So heterotrophs will depend on autotrophs. Autotrophs are not dependable on anyone. They are independent. They can generate their own energy from inorganic sources, and convert their inorganic energy source into organic energy sources. Heterotrophs will instead depend on these autotrophic organisms and consume them as a source of their organic energy source. Okay, so they are asking heterotrophs, fungi and protista. So fungi are heterotrophs. Fungi, as you have seen, fungi spread on bread and expired stuff, wood. So they will absorb nutrient from those organic energy sources and use for themselves. So fungi are heterotrophs. But protists. So algae belongs to protists. But you have seen there are green algae, right? So green algae can carry out what? Photosynthesis. That means not all protists are heterotrophic. They have both autotrophic organisms as well as heterotrophic organisms. Example for some heterotrophic protista is like amoeba. Amoeba you have seen like this. So they will eat or swallow other organisms as they are and obtain energy. So the answer for this is, so both the other second answer and third answer have plant. That's obviously wrong. We always talk, when we talk about autotrophs, we talk about plants, because I explained earlier, photosynthesis is the main process they carry out as autotrophic mode of nutrition. So the answer is fungi and animalia. We know as animals, we are also animals. We also obtain energy by eating other animals, other plants, and that's how we depend, and we are heterotrophic organisms. And I explained earlier also, fungi are also what? Organisms. So that is fourth answer. Okay. So the last question of this tute. Group of students counted the number of animals in a unit area of an ecosystem. Those numbers are given below. What is the number of animals belonging to phylum Annelida in this relevant group? So in your answer scheme, I have added beautiful diagrams of kingdom Annelida and their organisms. So we'll see. So invertebrates, right? So all of these animals are what? Invertebrates except gecko except gecko. Okay, so butterfly. Butterfly belongs to what? Phylum Arthropoda. So we'll write them down. Butterfly is Arthropoda. Spider is also Arthropoda. Snail belongs to Mollusca. Right? Earthworm belongs to Annelida. Leech also belongs to here. Leech is also annelid. And centipede. Centipede is also an arthropod, insects, right? And gecko is a reptile. So in the question they are asking phylum Annelida. So we know earthworm and leech belong to phylum Annelida, and there are so the answer is there are altogether 3 organisms belonging to phylum Annelida. Okay, so that was the discussion on biology 1 question sheet that was given to you. We will upload more question sheets. You can attempt them, and now I explained you how to attempt and review this kind of question sheet, and we will supply you for all in the entire science MCQs, and this way you can cover the entire syllabus in a different way by gathering points from all the questions out and other relevant points, and you can cover up. And I wish you all the best for your O level examinations. Thank you.